Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Vanya's Homestead Journey. In this episode I want to talk a little bit about soil, and I could put this in any chapter pretty much because it is, well, in most chapters, because it is one of the most important things on a farm if you want to grow stuff, on a homestead, whatever. In our case, you would say that if you live in the forest, that you could just go into the forest and take a shovel and just scoop up a bunch of dirt and you got a good soil, because that is pretty much what the main layer or the top layer of the forest is. It's compost, right? Well, yeah, it is compost, but to give you an idea of the difference, different plants need different soils. They need different nutrients. They have a preference for a certain type of soil. Now, if a plant grows for a year or a season, which most vegetables do, they usually prefer a bacteria-dominated soil. The trees, they usually prefer a fungi-dominated soil. So it's a little scientific, but the simplest way to look at it is that fungi take longer than bacteria to grow in soil. And that is because fungi feed on bacteria. So if something only grows for a year, it naturally prefers something that grows within that year. So that's for me the simplest way to look at it. Now, that being said, if I took soil from the forest and put it straight for my veggies, it would probably work. There's a lot of organic material in it, there's a lot of nutrients, but it's not ideal, and we want ideal soil. So what we did for the first year, that was the past growing season, is we bought from a company, a local company, about a ton of soil, 1,000 kilos, something like that, 13,000 kilos, whatever. And we started putting that in our plant boxes. We put some grass over it for organic material, at least that was the idea. Apologies. That material decays into the ground and it forms some sort of organic material in that soil. Now, this soil turned out to be clay dominated. So soil contains out of sand, silk and clay. Those are the mineral materials that you got in there. And of course that there's 9 dominating minerals in there, but I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm going to do that some other time. Otherwise this is going to be a huge video. Our soil that we bought was clay dominated. So that means in this case it's almost made up out of 60% clay or something. For a short part of information, sand is the biggest particles, silk is the middle particles, and clay are the smallest particles. That's why they stick together more with water, and you can make clay out of it, right? So because the particles stick together with water more easy. So that's great, but you want a large percentage of sand in it so that water can go through it. Otherwise it stays there. Well, and if it stays there and it dries out, then it sticks together and you get like a rock. That's pretty much what happens when you put a pot in the oven. So that is also pretty much what happened with our soil. Now Josephine had the idea to put grass on it, and that puts a little organic material in it, so that makes it a little bit better. But it is a miracle that we grew the amount of vegetables that we grew in the soil that we got. So what we need to add is compost, and we need to add compost that has a dominant bacteria presence, because we want the veggies to go well on it, to prefer that kind of soil. And if you have a lot of organic material, it decomposes into nitrate. Well, not exactly, but it turns into nitrate. There's two types of nitrate mostly found in compost. One of them is nitrate and the other one is ammonia. And we want nitrate, mostly nitrate. So in a bacterial dominated soil we find mostly nitrate as a source of nitrogen, and that is what we want. So to do that we need to balance the compost that we're going to put into our soil, onto our soil, in the right way to create that kind of soil. So I hope this was a little bit of the science and I may have said some words wrong, but that's basically what we're doing here. So what we're gonna do, I have gathered a lot of brown material and a lot of green material. The green material attracts bacteria really easy because it has a lot of easy, simple to digest nutrients in it. So that's going to attract a lot of life into the soil, and that is what we want. I'm going to start off with about 75% brown stuff and 25% green stuff. And green stuff is, in this case, grass clippings, and the brown stuff is, in this case, old grass, but mostly leaves and twigs and rotten wood. Then I'm gonna put it into one bin, or probably two, because I got a lot of it, and I'll show you the bins in a second and how I made them. And then I'm gonna add, make it like a little nest and put kitchen scraps in the middle of it. We also compost meat and an occasional roadkill. So that is not advised in all situations. In this case we got time, and based on the type of soil, the black soil that they found in the Amazon, that is one of the best soils that we ever found, that we know is man-made. Terra Perta, something like that. Google it. That type of soil is believed, we don't know exactly how they made it, but it's believed that it is, at least has bioactive char in it. And biochar is a whole other story I'm going to talk about, because 90% of what you hear is bullshit about that. But biochar, or char, which is pretty much permanent nitrogen, and dead animals. They bury dead animals in the soil, and it is presumed that that is the most important reason why that soil stayed fertile for so long. For example, if we fertilize our land in agriculture, it can stay fertile for about 3 years maximum. They have estimated that this soil stayed fertile while working it for over 40 years, and that's incredible. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that example, obviously, and I'm gonna try to make that black soil that they found there, which is pretty much the soil that you normally want, which is the color of dark coffee, the texture of chocolate cake, and the smell, it's slightly sweet smell. That's what we want the hummus to be. So that's what we're going for here, and today it is all about composting. So I'm gonna mix up the compost, make the little nest, and then put the kitchen scraps in it. and I'm gonna show you how. Hope this made sense, because it's a little technical. I have to think about it myself a lot sometimes. So, we are here at our compost place, and it's a very simple compost place. What I did is I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pellets, and I just made boxes out of them. And then I took 1, 2, 3 more pellets that I made a little fence out of. So we can take off the fence and take on the fence if we want to. Very simple way, like this. And you can see under this one is mostly the green stuff, or all the green stuff. In here I put all the brown stuff, and we're gonna mix it in the third bin, and probably in this one, because we have a lot of it, which is awesome, of course. So that's what I'm gonna start with, and then I'm gonna make a hole in the middle, and that's where we're gonna put the kitchen scraps to kickstart the whole thing. And the kitchen scraps has been composting for a while already, but mostly green stuff, so it's a little bit smudgy, and that's why I like to have more brown stuff now to balance that out. For your idea, right here is another bin I made, and that bin I made out of 2 compartments, and that's on a downhill slope, if you say it that way, away from the rest of the compost. And I've done that because that is where we compost human manure. So we have a compost toilet, and human manure is basically human poop and sawdust for the compost toilet. So I put that into 2 compartments because the one of them is I'm gonna put in the content of the toilet for a year, and then I'm gonna start on the other one and gonna scoop it over to let air in and add brown stuff if we need to, because it needs to compost a lot longer, even if it reaches the right temperature, which is about 65 degrees Celsius. It still needs a lot longer than this stuff, because there are certain bacteria in it that we don't want on our vegetable garden. Everybody knows the E. coli bacteria, right? The poop bacteria. Well, we don't want that there. We don't want anything to do with that. So I'm gonna give that a long time, and then I'm not even sure if I will use it, because I have a little bit of human poop phobia on my veggies. Maybe I'll get over it and use it anyway, but still I'll probably use it rather on a future food forest than on the veggies one-on-one on the annual plant. So yeah, that being said, this is the work for the upcoming minutes, hours. I don't know how much time it's gonna take, but quite a while. And yeah, follow along. This is already, I put this grass clippings in yesterday, and this is already warm to the touch. You know that if you put a pile of grass in your garden, it gets warm really quickly, and that's not because of the sun. It is because of the microbes that start working for you. Millions and millions of little workers that create the soil for you. Really cool. And you can see I'm not measuring here really precisely, and that is because we can adjust this whenever we want, and we will, because it depends on what kind of food scraps we got or whatever's going in there. We will adjust to balance it out, but we will do that on a continuous basis. So, okay, let's mix it up. Now you can do this in a lot of ways, obviously. This is my experiment and I'm trying to do it this way, but I might adjust along the way. For you it might be totally different, right? You might have different materials, not as much maybe, or just want to try something else. Well, go for it. Even though it is an exact science, it is not an exact science how you do it. It's about the end result here and about having fun while doing it. For me, I like building a nest in compost. Now there's probably way simpler ways of doing this, but my knowledge is mainly from books that I'm applying here. I have read 2 books about soil now. One of them is called Soil. It's by some Australian dude. If you want to read it, I'll put a link in the description. Maybe it's an affiliate link. There's already a worm coming in. Look at that! Welcome! One is made by an Australian bloke, I don't know his name, but I'll put the link in the description. And the other one is called Taming with Microbes. And that's based on the soil food web concept. And I'm mixing the knowledge a little bit and coming up with my own. And yeah, there's probably ways to do it better and to do it smarter. I don't know yet. I'm learning here. I have made sure I got most of the science down, and even though I don't remember everything, I know the concept. I understand the concept of composting now, at least in theory. And like everything I do here, I get the theory down, get the science in my head, and then just experiment with it. So this is one big experiment, and I can already see that this part is brown dominated and this part is green dominated, and I was gonna balance it out, but I think I'm gonna leave it like this to see what does what, right? That's as interesting to me as it is to get good humus now, because this is for the long run. Did you know, by the way, that the worm that I just found, I'm acting all surprised about it, but of course there's a whole, that soil food web thing that I talked about, there's a whole build up in that from and I'm skipping a few to keep it simple. The bacteria, the fungi, the small worms, and worms like I just found here. Then we got slugs and beetles and that kind of stuff. Then we got birds and reptiles and that kind of stuff. And then, well, the food web continues. And on a microbial level, there's a whole world going on in there that eats and converts certain nutrients into other stuff. and it's a genius process of which maybe we'll make another video one day, but it will be a little bit more theoretical, and I just want to get things going right now. So yeah, like I said, it's all an experiment. This little worm, I acted like I said, I acted really surprised that it was here, but on a good healthy soil there is about 7 million worms per hectare. So we got 1.3 hectare here, give or take. That means that we have about 10 million worms on our land, which is a huge amount, of course. It's not so strange because a worm, even though it's a hermaphrodite, if you say it like that in English, it has both sexes. It needs 2 worms to reproduce, but when it does, when it comes to that age, after I believe 4 months, it can reproduce for 15 years, and it just keeps going at it. One egg contains 15 worms, or potential worms, and I lost how many eggs they produce, but it's a huge amount, and but they need a healthy soil for that, and I believe this soil is pretty healthy, because if I turn over a stone, there's a huge amount of worms coming out. Sometimes a little stone and there's 6-7 worms on the bed, just to give you an idea. We're gonna do tests later with the kind of animals and microbes that are living in the soil, but that's for another time. But just so you know, that's coming. We're gonna test the exact soil, and I'm gonna give you the exact science of the soil. Maybe you like it. I definitely do. I think it's awesome to know the science behind it. It's beautiful how nature works, but it's even more amazing to me to understand how it works as far as we can. And it's good we don't understand everything yet, because that way nature has some mysteries, and I like that too. But it's the more I learn to understand about this process of how everything is connected, the more and more amazed I am about it. And well, if you are too, I hope to take you with me on that journey. I'm gonna figure it out anyway. I am figuring it out. I'm reading the book so you don't have to, and I'm doing the experiment so you maybe don't have to. But that being said, I do encourage you to figure it out yourself, because it is an amazing journey. It is beautiful, and it is what will save our planet in the end. Is going back to the very basics of what nature already took care of. We're trying to fix everything with technology and fancy stuff, but nature already fixed it. It is not broken. We are misusing it or not using it, but it is there. And I think it's our responsibility, and I feel it is mine, to make sure that that knowledge is being refound where it is lost, and kept safe where it is still to be found. Let's make a nest on this one as well. Let's get some kitchen scraps. So as you can see, I've made my little nest and put the kitchen scraps in there. And now I'm gonna cover it with more material. This material, and let it rest for a while. So now when this is done, I got my two buckets of material here, with in the center the kitchen scraps and some roadkill. I'm gonna leave this for at least a week and then see what the temperature is, and then I'm gonna start mixing it in this empty bin here, and then I'm gonna mix it back in there so it's all good and mixed. And then at some point when it slinks in a lot, I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna show you because it's difficult to explain otherwise maybe, but I'm gonna take the top layer off it and put it in that one. Then I'm gonna take the bottom layer and put it in that one. Then I'm gonna take the top two layers that I put in there and put it back in this one so it can decompose again. And I'm gonna take that bottom layer, which is close to being good compost, and put it in that one. Then I have one empty bin again that I'm gonna use for the end product once this part is finished composting. You're gonna see it. It is difficult to explain it this way maybe, but I hope you understand. As you can see, it is full of flies and stuff already there. There's a lot of life being attracted to this, which I'm happy about. We're gonna see how it develops. As I said, one of the ingredients of good compost, it's about 55% organic material, and the rest is water and air. So we have a rainy climate here, so we have a lot of rain. That's why I have the tarp in the back, so I can cover the whole thing up if it rains a lot. So right now I'm gonna let it get as much air as possible because it needs a lot of air as well, like I said. And if it rains a little bit, I'm fine with that. Maybe I'll even water it down if it gets too dry. But with a tarp like that, you can control the amount of water that goes in. So that's it for now. And from here on, we're gonna let nature do its work. So let the microbes begin their job. Cool. I hope you enjoyed this as well. It was a little bit scientific, and I'm still learning on this topic, so I'm slowly turning myself into a soil expert. That's the plan, at least. And I'm taking you on a journey as always, while I'm experimenting and reading and gaining knowledge. So hope you appreciate that, and if you have tips, comments, whatever, put it right below this video where you can, you know where to put it. And yeah, follow me along. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey do!